Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Be Nigerian Talk Show. Yeah, I'm so happy to have you today. We are empowering narratives. We are lifting the voices of Nigeria. In this show, all we do is to talk about Nigerians and diasporas and those at home. We are just talking about the resilience, the beauty of Nigeria, our culture. And today we're going to talk about literature and art. I hope you're, and this is part two of the literature and art. I hope you're ready to join us on this roller coaster because it's going to be really beautiful. Okay, today's topic is going to be the role of literature in Nigerian culture. And I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have someone that I really do admire that will be joining me. It's no other person than Massive Mark with the massive heart. Please welcome Massive Mark.
How are you? How are you?
Hello. Mhm.
How are you? It's good to be with you again. It's good
Thank you
to
so much.
be on our platform, being Nigerian. Um, yes, the introduction was good. Last week we said a lot. We're introducing this aspect of being Nigeria, and you've started it on the right note of literature, arts, and literature. Um, Today, yes, we'll dive in more, and like you said, let's talk about the concept of storytelling in the Nigerian culture. Is that not so?
Sure, definitely.
Good. One thing that must be noted, viewers, is that what we have now as our culture, what we have now as our tradition, should be noted that it was passed to us from
Definitely.
generations coming. So we too have that opportunity to put out good cultural experience for the next generation to come. Thank you. You're welcome,
Thank
viewers.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Massive Mark. Thank you. Okay, before we continue on the show, I have something very important to share with you. And if you're looking to make good money, even in this inflation era, just watch join the show, follow the show to the end. Okay, I have something very important, something very lucrative to share with you. And before when we come back, we're going to continue the show. So let's go on a short break.
Let's go on a short break. Thank you.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to the Be Nigerian Talk Show. All we do here is just being Nigerian and being resilient and being beautiful in all we do. And thank you. Welcome back. So we're going to dive right into the topic of today, which is literature and art. The role of literature in Nigerian culture. No, massive. What do you think about this stuff? Because I kind of, I'm a literature person, and you told me that you studied literature, and I kind of
Yes.
enjoy that part of you. I like literature a lot. I like to talk, so I think this is just the avenue for me to talk.
Yes, avenue for us to talk. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, I did some courses under that. But we're putting in it, we're focusing more on the Nigerian storytelling and
Definitely.
literature. Yes. Let me say that Nigerian storytelling tradition is as diverse as our culture. We've come with it, like I said earlier, centuries back, and it's been passed to us all this while. So our culture, our storytelling involves a lot. You have what you call folk tales. folk tales, myth, storytelling. Now, folk tales are probably stories that are not really true. They are not real. They never happen, but somehow it embodies something about us.
Definitely.
Most times, like some of our folk tales, we talk about the tortoise, the animal called tortoise. We talk about
Mm-hmm.
various animals in the jungle, the lion. We talk about the elephant and all of those animals. So those stories make up folk tales. And we also have our myths, stories probably that an imaginary kind of story, but to derive a message. It use
Mm-hmm.
message. So all of these centers on our beliefs, our values, our culture, all of those stories. So what we've had is storytelling that have been used to preserve our identity as a people. Storytelling that have used to preserve our culture as a people. So yes, Yama, it's a beautiful thing to also be talking about this because storytelling culture in Nigeria has been it's been a way of interacting. You know, we've used it to teach people interaction. There are some clips you will see there. You see, this is a clip of little children sitting down and listening to another person talk a story, tell a story.
Mm.
Most times it's done at the moonlight, when the moon
Yeah.
shines. We sit down on a square, village square, town square, and somebody will just be giving us stories. It's interesting. It's beautiful. So these are some of the visuals that we have on that. So
Yeah,
this,
beautiful.
yes, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about folk tales, Yanni. Talking about folk tales.
Mhm.
I'm from Akwa Ibom, to be precise,
Okay.
the BBO part. I think there's a story about the creation of Akwa Ibom, and this is
Mhm.
mostly done by older people, older men or older women. In when we return from when we come to the village for Christmas or for holidays, I think
Mhm.
there's a circle of people, like people that wealthy people from abroad. They come. They believe so much in this storytelling. They come to us the square. There's a fire, like there's a lantern in the center, and there's an old man or an old woman holding the lantern, and that there's a story of the aquarium creation about the god of the aquarium, the god of the sea. Like it's really so beautiful. I don't know if there's
Mhm.
any story from your
Mhm.
place. And then there are
Mhm.
also rhythms where they talk about riddles. Where there's a song that we sing. Nemin, nemin, sisunaka sarabagi nam yo yo. Ayando bukot. Ayaya, tinin tinin nemi yo. Ayaya.
Right,
It's
sing
really
it, sing it,
to
sing
the
it. Don't
song. It's
don't
really
laugh, don't
beautiful.
laugh. No, you don't. It's serious. What you're doing is um, relaying something that's really really of paramount part of us.
Definitely,
Right?
definitely,
Storytelling,
it
like
is.
you said, is an old method of interaction, of communicating in all human history. But for us Africans, for us Nigerians, it's deeper than that. It has been a way of preserving our historical heritage, our cultural heritage,
Mm,
and this way we've been able to carry on phenomenons of who we are, traditions of who we are, and we've passed it on, and it's been coming on and on and on. So it's not a laughing thing, it's a serious thing.
definitely,
Yeah.
it is.
Right, go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead,
Can,
tell
can
us
I
more.
can I can I also say that storytelling preserves morals of the African
Okay,
culture, the Nigerian
okay,
culture.
okay.
Yes, it does because it's passed down that if you open, there's a story that my parents used to tell me, my dad used to tell me precisely. Well, like if you open the pot at night and you do this is what will happen to you. This is what will happen to you. So it gave us the fear, and let me not use the word fear. Fear. It gave us this belief that you don't have to do this because it's bad. Of course, stealing is bad. So they gave us, instead of saying coming directly that you're stealing, they give us a story that we will have to learn from, so we don't have to do something bad. So I think storytelling in the African Nigerian culture preserves a moral.
Preserves
Like,
moral. That's it.
yes.
Preserves moral. Now, let me also say that growing up, like we growing up in Lagos, I grew up in Lagos.
Mm.
We the TV station then used to have storytelling moments, and there was a legend. He's passed on now, and that's a great man
Oh,
called Jimmy Sholanke. I don't know if you heard
mm.
about Jimmy Sholanke.
I'm not
Jimmy
sure I have.
Sholanke, yes, Jimmy Sholanke was very good at telling us stories then. You know, when we come, there's a program called Moonlightning, something Moonlight, and
It tells by
this
the
is
moonlight.
Tales by the
Possibly.
Moonlight. Thank you. So these were platforms that we used in telling stories. And I think if the government is not doing that now, I don't know about now, but I think those programs and shows are very relevant
Very,
because
very.
that encompasses who we are. That makes up our identity. You know, somehow we can relate with our background, our lives, through those programs of storytelling. And it's so serious that those things also gives it helps people to identify themselves. So you don't begin to you're not thinking of oppression. You're not thinking like you've been oppressed or you've
Mm,
been marginalized. Because
mm.
you're using these stories bring out yourself, and it gives you a sense of belonging. You
Definitely.
understand? So
Yeah,
it comes in different forms. You just talked of the traditional music. There is also artistic expression through music.
definitely.
Yes. Go ahead. You have something to say. Tell
Yes,
me.
but let's talk about in the brother like let's talk about the storytelling bringing African, like, let's say Nigerian perspective to the wider audience, the world. Let's talk
Okay.
about that. Yes, let's go into that. How Nigerian storytelling has brought, for example, we talked about Ogigbo, Christopher Ogigbo of last week, and we
Hmm.
can see that his book, his poems were mostly African, Nigerian dominated. He was so interested in the Igbo culture that he infused every word. I think is it? I've forgotten the goddess of the sea, Onitsha, that he mentioned. It was so
Hmm.
he didn't change it to maybe to westernize it. He used the exact word. And what this has done that people in the western, like the other part of the world, has gotten to know something, this perspective of Nigerian, of the Igbo culture, without even coming to Nigeria. They've gotten to know about this. So I think storytelling is crucial to showing to other people our own perspective, our own culture, even without them coming. So they
Hmm.
understand us from afar, even without them being to Nigeria before. So I
Wow.
think that's what storytelling does.
That's a very important thing to say, Emma.
Mm.
Very, very pivotal thing to say. One thing is, for example, there's this lost in people's. A lot of people feel lost in their identity nowadays, and that is
Yeah,
because also our some of our elders are not portraying and doing that storytelling like we should. And I'm happy for a program like this because this way, if people can listen, this way we will begin to really identify us with ourselves. Black people we need to shape the narrative of our own story. We need
definitely.
to, yes, we need to bring out our own voice. Let people know that this is who we are, and let's do it through all kind of means, artistic
Definitely.
expression, oral, traditional events, songs, music. You talked of folk tales, chants, dance, riddles, and jokes. We have lots of riddles. We have
A
lots of
lot of them.
proverbs,
Lots of them. Mm.
that we give. So if we can bring back all of these things, even though somehow we've mixed up with the Western culture, but if we can be able to balance these two things together, our history, our culture, storytelling, all of this, and put it together with this modern life we found ourselves in, I tell you, the black man will stand, Nigerians, Africans will stand very bold and will be able to really go far in what we do.
Definitely. As well, let's talk about languages and storytelling. Language is
Okay.
storytelling. Nigerian
Language.
language is storytelling. Yes, because I remember, for example, the creation of a Kwabam story, Ibibio, in my own tribe. It will never be unique if we have to talk about it in English. It will never be unique. So the story is mostly told in my Bibio language or in like in the native language that we are synonymous with. So
Mm-hmm.
about that language and storytelling. Example, want to talk about the creation of Akwa Ibom. We cannot be talking about that in English because there are some words that cannot be found in English. Let me
Okay.
bring this in.
Okay.
Not the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's it that's an English word, and wherever history that's allocated to that to them bringing up about
Mm-hmm.
those weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
in Igbo culture and even in my own Aquarium culture, there was nothing like that. We have an Afyon, Usen an Afyon, Usen Afyon, Usen like those
Those are the
signify
things.
the days of the market, and that was how we got to know our own days. So when they brought in the English, the Monday, it had no significance to our own language and what we've been through, because this was the days of maybe the days of where you're not supposed to go to the stream, when you're not supposed to go to work, when you're supposed to work, when you're supposed to pray. So that was how we came about those days. So bringing Monday to say it had nothing to do with the Nigerian culture. So
Okay.
let's talk about languages in storytelling. And
Languages and culture.
before you talk, Miss Mark, let me also say that mm, I like the way that our storytellers now are infusing. Even they used to do that before. Also, are still infusing our languages into storytelling. They're
Okay.
not like saying, "Okay, let's just do it English, English, English." You're still infusing those words, those small words like "kedu," "mesiero," good. Instead of saying "good
Mm-hmm.
morning," we just use our own language because we're talking about African culture. So, what do
Culture.
you have to say about languages in storytelling? Is it really important
Yes.
to
Oh
African
my,
culture, Nigerian
very,
culture?
very, very, very serious, very strong. Um, you just said it all. The languages in African culture and Nigerian culture it typifies each day and what happens on that day. You talked
Yeah,
about the Ibibios, your language. In Igbo land
yeah.
also, each of those days have their significance. So when
You
the white man
definitely.
came, and we now have to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it brought some confusion. People
It did.
didn't, yes, because they were used to uh, the various days of the week in their dialects. The Yorubas have it, the Igbos, the Hausas, everybody have it in their dialect. So yes, the thing now caused some confusion. So, but you see, like I said earlier, it's not totally eroding the English language that is the thing. It is the ability for us to still understand that this our dialect is our dialect. There's
Definitely.
nothing we can do about it. So having it by the side, and probably when you're in some your international engagements, you still express yourself in your English language. But we should really promote and keep our own heritage, our language, our dialect, our culture. We should just do that and balance both together very well. And yes, we
True.
can. We can balance it. We can balance it. We because of the world becoming a small, like a global village, you can't neglect the English language and some of these international language because you need it for other things and get other programs. But you still need to know how to draw the curtain. Know
Yeah.
when you have to be with your own people, express yourself in your own way, and yes, that's it. Keep the culture going.
Yeah. Now
That,
you mentioned I was trying to balance it. Now then something just came to my mind.
mm-hmm,
I'm a teacher to young children, yes, and I understand the importance of reading at a very young age to children. So
okay.
to keep our language going, I think we have to catch them young. There
Mm-hmm,
are books in our native languages. Why not read those books, these stories to our children at very young age? This should be their bedtime stories. This should
okay.
be yes, their bedtime stories. Now there should be a time where parents are just saying, let's just read together as a family. And this should not only be English. There's time for reading books for educational purposes. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
storytelling is
Yeah.
but these are culture identity. Let's take that time. Let it be about our culture, about educating us about our culture, storytelling in Ibibio in our different languages. I think parents should do that more. Reading to our kids
I should do that.
our own native stories instead of the white man stories every time, bedtime stories.
So
I think
yeah,
that should be
last time we were talking of some of those writers, some writers of the literature from Nigeria. We talked about Chino Achebe. We talked about Amanda.
yeah.
We talked about we called some
Christopher
names.
Kim.
Yes.
Mm,
Now, one thing I want to say is, you see, some of them had books written in their dialect, in their languages. And do you
mhm.
know the interesting thing is some of that those books, the books they wrote that had the native language, really went deep to the readers because it was
Definitely.
yes. So
Mm,
language has a lot to play. When we speak the same language, we bond. There is that automatic bonding,
mm.
because we can understand some things in that dialect. So language is significant. No African language should be neglected. No African language should
That's
be
it.
put aside. The problem we have in the world today is that most mainstream books and most mainstream media are not recognizing dialects. Maybe because there are many, I don't know, but they tend to want to stick with the international language that they use. So, but our language is our language, and there's nothing
But
we can do about it.
yes, let me just say something. You said mainstream media are not recognizing languages, other languages.
Yeah,
How are
yeah,
the owners of this language making themselves recognizable? How are they doing it? That's
that's
it.
it. That's it.
That's it. The
That's it.
Yorubas, I always say the
Mhm.
Yorubas. I love those people so much. The Yorubas, the Igbos. No, I think the Yoruba language is being studied in where? In Oxford University. Igbos
Yeah,
is being studied.
now,
I think
now,
you
not
can see
only
what they
Yoruba,
did.
mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm,
pushed it.
Igbo
They
language
pushed
too.
it. The Igbo language too. They pushed
Mm-hmm.
it, and so it's about what the people of the owners of the language are doing for their language to be recognized. So nobody will recognize you until you push further for it to be recognized. That's just it, though. Okay, let's talk about literature and filmmaking. Literature and filmmaking. How important is it to Nigerian culture?
Literature and filmmaking. Yes, like I said, we talked about the books, book writers, and what you have now is most of those movies, some of the film movies we watch are taken from those literature, those books, story books, and they make out a movie out of it. And those story books made into movie become classic. They become they most times, you even though people want to see some of these other things, but those movies become what gives sometimes the producers of the movie awards, because being able to translate a story into a movie, I mean, the message goes direct to the
Definitely.
viewers, to the audience, to those on the other side. So, movie making, and turning literate books into films have been a strong form of our tradition too, of passing our songs, our folk tales, our stories, our riddles, proverbs into real time visuals, and it's working for
Definitely.
us. Yes, it's really
Definitely.
working. People are getting the message very, very direct and clear, watching those movies that are coming from storybooks, coming from Nigerian riddles and proverbs. Those movies make real good movies, I tell you. Yes, it is.
I am to say I'm very proud of what Nollywood is doing in the world
Mhm.
and how far we've gone. I know there's still a lot more room for improvement, and of course, mm, there's always room for improvement. Definitely, and we're doing so well. I'm so proud. But I have just not a problem, just one favor to ask of them. No, I hope let me just incorporate language into our filmmaking. Let me incorporate language into our filmmaking. I know Nigeria is an English speaking state, and we speak
Okay.
English.
Okay.
That's when you're acting, when you're making a movie about Nigerian, the history of Nigerian, how it was. I think Nollywood should be very particular about the language that was used to convey the message. Because once it's been, I once watched a movie that was about the Yoruba culture, and the way they were trying to not just emphasize, it was more like making like a breathing kind of accent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what is that? Because that is going to disrupt the meaning, the meaning for that movie. If a Yoruba movie, for God's sake, the English, if English was spoken in that era, it should be the English that was spoken there, and the English that was spoken there was more like it had some reading of cultural influence from Nigeria in it. So it should be there. It should not like we are trying to westernize the accent. And again, I see the Koreans act with Netflix, and they don't use English. They use as they speak here. Fine, but when it comes to movies that are about our culture in depthly, it should be in the language of of that era. For example, I'm going to reference this movie, Fumilayo, movie, the woman, and I so much love what the lady did. I've forgotten her name, the lead character. She did so much well. She embodied that character, and now we've got to know that she was not Fumilayo was not the first one to drive a car in Nigeria. As the white man, as a Westerner lady, she was that she was the first person to drive a car. Whereas there were so many things that this woman did in Nigeria. She fought the white people against market women. And she did a lot of things, a lot of amazing things. Please go and watch that movie. It's really interesting. I like that they were included so many things. The Yoruba, like everything was in that movie. So I know Nigeria is doing so in the film industry.
Yes, from Layo Ramson Kuti. That's a beautiful music movie, and like we
It
said,
is.
it's taken out from the story of the woman, the first African woman to ride a car, like you said. But she did more than that. She did far but more than that. And take note that she's the mother of these great
Fella.
minds you have now, Fela. Then there's
Um,
Beko, there's
mm,
Ransom Kuti that was the health
wow.
minister at one time. There's Beko. There are many, and Fela came out more because of his music. But Fela was also on that part of a mother, tolling that part of activism,
Activism, yeah.
and human rights fighter. So yes, and that's because a story was on her, and the producer of the movie can take it out and make it into a score, into movie. And beautiful. So, viewers, what we're talking about is, yes, storytelling and the tradition of uh, passing culture with storytelling down from generations to generations. Uh, One thing is, yes, there is this thing they say now. Things just happen. Generations just keep rolling on. But the truth is, for Africa, it is the past generations, the interactions they had, the communications they had, that makes up who we are now. So we shouldn't neglect that. We shouldn't play with that. Yeah, man. I think this is a noble thing to note. Hmm.
Thank you so much. Okay. Not forgetting the reason for this talk show, Being Nigerian. And so my
Yes.
book is on Being Nigerian is available on Amazon seller. Do well to buy purchase. So let's keep moving the spirit of Nigeria ahead. Okay, but
Mhm.
at the beginning of the show, I promised I was going to share with us something very, very important. And
Yes.
I hope you're still there watching. So if you're ready for your business to have an international audience, let me rephrase that. You're ready for your business to have a global audience, global buyers, okay? And now just know that the Being Nigerian talk show is about lifting Nigerians home and abroad. And you like for your business to be advertised on this platform. Just reach out to us on a Facebook, on an Instagram, on a YouTube. Just reach out to us, or you can write us. I think I was going to give my WhatsApp number. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. just write to us on Facebook. We're going to reply you, okay, that you want your business to be advertised on this platform. Remember that Being Nigerian Talk Show is being watched all over the world. So just know that your business is going to have an international audience. So that was what I was going to share with you. And
Nice.
listen, trusted, only trusted businesses. I don't know what businesses I want trusted businesses, of course. We're trying to lift Nigerians up. Okay, thank you so much, viewers. We have come to the end of the show. Thank you for
Mhm.
joining us, and I really, really appreciate you so much. Thank you, and I hope you
Thank
learned
you.
something. I did, because I did.
Yes. Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Thank you
So
so much.
I'll
And okay,
continue again
let
next
me do
time.
part three of this. Yeah, part three of this next week,
Yes. Thank you. Bye bye.
definitely. Goodbye. See you.